You're good.
Hi, everybody. It's Jeanette Pierce, and we're doing another episode of Discuss Detroit, where we talk with small business owners, community leaders, and city residents about the city that we love. This week's guest is one of my favorite people in the city, one of my favorite stories in Detroit, and that's Amy Peterson of Rebel Nell. Hi, Amy. How are you today?
Hi, Jeanette. Thank you for having me, and you are one of my favorite people as well. So it's an honor to chat with you always.
Thanks so much. And I know it's been a rough week in Detroit, in the country, and I think that it's just making people realize who don't already know that this is always going on, right? These challenges that our friends of color are facing all the time, and that it's just being brought to the forefront in this last week. I know that it's been difficult, for you, and as well as your team.
Yeah.
What have you been thinking and feeling and doing?
Yeah, actually, we just got off of a team call, and it was one of our topics of the day was just, talking through it. How does everyone feel? How do we respond as a company? How do we do more to know that the people that we serve are supported? Diana and I also recognize we are two white women who own a business in the city that is primarily Black, and how do we make sure that we're helping to continuously move the needle? And that's why we started our business, was really to help tackle systemic racism and to move people forward. And there's just so much more work to be done. And unfortunate events like the ones that have transpired last week are just a ever-present reminder that we can do better. We can do better, world. We can do better.
And this isn't the topic necessarily of this conversation, but it's something that we can't not talk about, right? And I think that too often we, especially as white community, move on too quickly from talking about some of these things. And I think that there's, this is an opportunity for people, and the job is on us to work harder, to learn, to make changes, the only way we can fix a system based on white supremacy is to have the people and the power doing the work. And I think that that's important, and I think that that's, just things that I'm just challenging everyone out there to do something. There's some really great resources out there, but I would say do not ask your friends of color or people of color for what to do. Do the research on your own. You can go to my Facebook page. I've posted things. It's a quick Google search to how to be anti-racist, not just not racist. So that's not enough. So working towards anti-racist goals and how to do that is available all over the internet. So I challenge people to really try to be that anti-racist as anti-racist work, do the anti-racist work. And I know that's something that you guys have been doing all along at Rebel Nell, I think is. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Rebel Nell and the work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, we started Rebel Nell in 2013 for the sole purpose of employing, educating, and empowering women who have had barriers to employment. Originally, we started with just hiring women who were living in homeless shelters, but we have expanded since we started to now employing women who have been formerly incarcerated and refugees, in addition to women who are still faced with homelessness. We provide not only employment, and we make jewelry out of really unique materials. We make it out of graffiti once it falls off the wall, and we've found our way to repurposing other wild, crazy stuff. But each piece is really beautiful and unique, not only because of that cross-section of graffiti, but because of the woman who made it. But in addition to employment, we also provide a lot of wraparound support to help them transition into a better job, better life after working with us. And they're with us for about almost 2 years, depending on their progress. And then we transition them into the traditional workforce.
So you mentioned that it's being made from graffiti, and I know that's hard for some people to think about. So I'm going to just show a picture really quick here of what we're talking about, and we'll actually make that the try to
This
make
is
it a
so
little bigger
cool. I love this
here.
platform. So yeah, what we do is we take and we'll pick it up once it's on the ground. We have a very strict no peel policy. And we just collect it once it's on the ground and bring it back to our studio. We take it through a special process to reveal the layers that make up each piece. And from there, we transition it into one-of-a-kind pieces. Now that's a collection from Michigan Central Station. That's a very cool collection. We're actually down to our last few pieces of that, but it's all from the old train station. Jeanette, did I lose you in sound? Oh, she's coming back. Thanks everybody for bearing with us. We'll figure it out.
I think I turned myself off when I
You
showed
did.
the photo. Sorry about that. I'm learning new technology all the time. But yeah, and if I drop off again, normally they can hear you, so keep talking away. And anyway, so yeah, so I will. So I think I was saying, tell us about how you came up with the idea to use the graffiti and to not just do you could have created a really cool business and done, and gotten, seed money and do all that stuff. But what made you want to connect it to a social good?
Yeah, we are odd in the sense that we didn't have a product first when we started. We started with the mission first. I was living right next door to Cots and would walk my dog and have conversations with the residents there. Cots is a well-known shelter in Detroit, and while having these conversations, I learned that many of these women were incredible, left challenging situations in search of a better opportunity, not only for themselves but for their family. And at the time, I was working in baseball, which isn't the most welcoming of women in upper management roles, particularly on the baseball side of things. And I just felt this. I've always had it, but it just came out even more. This desire to empower women. What does that look like? And this concept for creating a business that solely empowers women was first. And then Diana, my business partner, and I talked about the concept, and Rebel Nell really came to life first as a company that was going to teach women how to fish. And then secondary was we need to sell stuff in order to make that happen. What the heck are we going to make? And we wanted to pay tribute to the city that we love and that we call home. Went running on the DeQuinder Cut one day, saw a piece of fallen street art, took it back home, and the rest is kind of history. We launched at Dally in the Alley of September 2013.
Wow.
I
7 years.
know.
Almost 7 years. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I mean, and we go way back. So there's that, one of the things about Detroit and, being a small community, especially, is that we both lived and we're, involved in downtown in the city, well, for me, like 15 years ago. I don't know. When did you move?
2014 was my wait, no. 2000, been here a lot longer than that. 2007, I moved to downtown. I moved to Detroit.
And I grew up on the east side, so I was like, I've always been in the city, but I moved downtown in 2003. But for people that weren't around then, there were not a lot of developments. There wasn't a lot of pedestrian activity downtown. I mean, there were lots of bars and restaurants. We kept the checklist back then too, but people didn't know about them. It really was the word of mouth before social media. And so there really became we would just see each other at the bar around town, and became friends. And I think that happened with a lot of people too. So it's been crazy. It's been 14 years, since we've known each other. And I remember being so just amazed by what the idea, the creativity that Rebel Nell represents, and how do the brain power of how you take something that looks like this and turn it into something that looks like this. It's absolutely amazing. And you were mentioning that this is the Michigan Central collection, but just to also just to show an example for people of what the possibilities of then the shapes and the types of things. So you have necklaces and earrings. I'm wearing my earrings that we actually made, which is another cool thing that you guys do, is team building projects where people can make their own jewelry and work with you guys on that. And then you have I love the city of Detroit shaped ones, the Michigan shaped ones. But then Father's Day is coming up, so there's also tie clips and
money clips, cufflinks.
Cufflinks, and then actually, and also probably not the that we get this new collection. So it started with a DeQuinder cut, and then other places where that had paint, right? And then also this kind of memorial or remembering places. So you had a Joe Louis collection.
Yeah.
And then this is the new collection, right? Is the Palace. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think what's been such an interesting part of our business and something we didn't give too much credit to, we knew we were doing it, but it wasn't at the forefront, is we're in some ways preservationists of history. And the fact that started with, I've always referenced even the graffiti it's all these different layers that have been added over time. And I found so many similarities between that and the city of Detroit, particularly when, you and I were talking about when 2007, 2008, there wasn't a lot going on here. And this was, to me, a reflection of what Detroit is, right? It's made up of so many ideas, history, people, that there are all these layers. So I've always felt this symbolism with the jewelry that we're doing. And that sparked what else could we do? And you referenced the Joe Louis collection. I drove by the Joe one day and there was paint all over the ground. I mean, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I scooped it all up with a broom and a cardboard box. And I called the Red Wings. I said, hey, I've got this idea. This is a piece of history. You can own it. We can make it beautiful. So we did the Joe collection. And ever since then, I've just been trying to connect with other places of history, or there's so much stuff also that is just thrown out that means something to people. So I called the Pistons and I said, here's what we did with the Joe. I think you guys may be demoing the Palace. Can I take a look? And they said, yep, come on down. And so I went in and the wheels started turning and saw these old seats that everyone kind of remembers from the Palace, the red and blue that from a distance look a little bit purpley. And I said, can I have a bunch of these? And they said, yes, take them. And then we go into the championship locker room and there is the coolest wallpaper, wall covering. It's like this blue snakeskin. Honestly, I think it's some of the most beautiful jewelry we've ever made. I don't think if you can kind of see them. But so there are two collections right now that we just launched today from the Palace of Auburn Hills that I think are pretty special and unique. Not only just for Pistons fans, but also for anyone who attended a concert there, if it had some significance to you. These are pretty neat. And we've added some more men's items because of the timing of Father's Day.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's a win-win, right? Because people get something really unique. And I think we're much, the idea of just getting the same thing or everyone ordering off Amazon or how many pairs of socks can you get dad again, or my husband my thing is I'm putting the pictures of the babies on socks. You can put the faces. So my husband does kind of quirky socks. So anyway,
that's awesome.
But this is definitely also on the list of for him. And but it also, again, the buying of the jewelry supports the organization, which again hires, women, and they're making the jewelry, right? I mean, and that's the whole point, is that it's completely, each piece is 100%.
He may have been frozen, but she's right. It's all 100% unique. And your piece will never, no one else will have it in the world. I think that's what's really special about it.
Technology is great. Okay, there.
Now you're back.
Yay. Technology is great, except when it gets little wrinkles in it, but not a big deal at all. But anyway, it's just that I was just saying that it's about the positive impact that it has too. So you can have something that's a really meaningful piece, but also have a positive impact. And I know that that having the idea, I think, is really neat, and innovation. When you say crisis breeds innovation, Detroit has had a lot of crisis, unfortunately, but it's also really what's made us really innovative, which we have been forever, right? I mean, and Detroiters just step up. And it's our motto from the Great Fire, right? Is that Detroit is that we hope for better things, it will arise from the ashes. And this is, literally almost taking ashes and making really awesome things out of it, which I think is really great. And then because you didn't have enough going on, you also decided to work on another project. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, talk about repurposing things. I guess that's a theme I have. But my husband and I, we live in a neighborhood in Detroit and love our neighborhood. And when we moved here 5 years ago, we moved from downtown into a neighborhood, and we saw this abandoned church. We always thought, man, that would be such a great gathering place for the community. We don't have any amenities over in our neighborhood. And so we purchased this building. It took us 3.5 years, and we opened it in, oh my gosh, the first week of March. It's great. It's called The Congregation. It's your place to grab your coffee on your way to work, your beer and wine on your way home. There's a kid area that's where kids can play. It's very family focused. We built a big, nice deck on the side so that we could enjoy music in the summer. Again, didn't really think that a pandemic was on the way. But after we opened it, we had to temporarily, I shouldn't say we're not completely closed. We're still open from 8 to 2 every day for just carry out, and you can order online, but we are still operating just with far less people than when we originally opened. So we got a good week and a half in before COVID hit and shut us down. But I have full confidence that we'll be back up and running. We have an amazing neighborhood, and they've come out to support us a lot. But it's a cool place. I think one of my favorite places here, and this is a bit of a little bit older photo, ironically, but we completely restored the windows all around, and we did as much as we could to preserve the historical integrity of the building itself. But there was originally a stained glass window in the back, and if you go in, please look on the second floor. Oh yeah, there's the front of it. So we had the Norton brothers, who are local sculpture artists, create the steel structure with stained glass in it that is an homage to the original window that was there when it was first built in the 1920s.
That's awesome. I mean, and again, repurposing a space and for a community space, right? I mean, and I was lucky enough to be part of an event that you hosted for women, right? Like, I mean, that's just another thing that does in your spare time, but bringing women together. And we had this amazing, diverse group of women in that space, and so many people lived in the neighborhood, and everybody was just talking about how excited they were to have a place close by in the neighborhood like that. And what a big undertaking for you. So, I mean, so talk a little bit with either or both how, everyone's using the word pivot. And just kind of now I feel like it's used, but like, what have you, I mean, but I think entrepreneurship is all about always pivoting, innovating, whatever you want to call it. You think one thing, you think that, this is going to be everyone's favorite cupcake or jewelry, and then everyone likes something else or their favorite tour. I mean, entrepreneurship is constant learning and adjusting. And I think, and this is just another, certainly a bigger adjustment in a lot of ways, but talk about how you guys have changed things in both businesses with the recent, COVID crisis.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And actually, I mean, talking to you was so inspiring too. Before we started recording, I mean, how I love speaking with entrepreneurs because we do have this amazing ability, I think, to maybe you get overwhelmed for a minute, but I think we're sort of primed to problem solve. I'm sure there's some weird DNA in all of us that overlaps, and then you kind of go, okay, what can I do in this situation? How can I be creative? I'm gonna go down. If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down swinging. And I think that's what motivates me to try things. Like, it will literally be like the last nail in the coffin, and I'll be pushing back because these are opportunities, and they're hard to see in the moment. But for example, with Rebel Nell, it's been great. I'm so grateful. I have an amazing team who, yes, we all were freaking out at the beginning, but we decided, and we had a lot of conversations like, no, we're going to rally. We're going to come out of this stronger. We're going to do things better. The one person who had the biggest challenge is we just brought on an events person, a retail person to manage our store and to host events in the store. I mean, she just started with us. And, we committed. We said, no, we want to keep you. Keeping as much on my staff is really, really important to me. And we just want you to be creative. So let's think through this. So, switching her to doing a lot of digital events and having conversations and just being what we are. We know that we provide a feel-good product. We provide support and resources. How do we bring that onto the digital world? And maybe it's not instant sales, but those sales will come. But think, like, how do we do an Airbnb experience? How do we do make your own jewelry, but it's virtual? How do we do these things? And I love that we've really stretched ourselves to do it. And then the same breath, it's also given us time to pause.
Right.
And we'll use that as a great tool to get our foundation super strong. With Diana, her main task has been, and she's our COO and my co-founder, is she's really developing an inventory management system. Now's your time. When things are quiet, and how that is going to change us for the future. So I just love and appreciate that the defeatist attitude has not been prevalent in my team, and that is great. And then from the congregation side of things, Betsy, who's managing it, also has that same mentality. We're going to go down swinging, and the promotions that she's come up with, that just try. I'm a big believer. Try and fail every darn day. Just try it, and you learn something, and you're going to move on. And maybe you learn, I should try it at a different day and time. Maybe this Facebook talk isn't good at a Saturday at 9 p.m. Let's try it. Doesn't mean it's horrible. Let's just try it at a different time. And maybe we throw in a free code, or who knows. So you just try and try again until you find something that works. But COVID has really turned on the creative juices, and I don't want to ever say I've enjoyed it. That's not it. But I've appreciated what it's allowed my brain to do.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, it's such a tumultuous time, obviously. And but for some of these reasons, there's in some cases, some silver linings. But yeah, it's when you're trying to, when there's nowhere else but to go, like, it's either like, we can just close it up, right? Or try stuff. So tell us about some of these, so congregation is open.
Yep.
What, she said every day, that's amazing.
No, I take it back. We're open 8 to 2, and it's Tuesday through Saturdays.
Okay.
You can order online at thecongregationdetroit.com and pick up right away.
Food. So, so it was not just a bar, restaurant, or, bar and coffee shop and space, but it's got a really unique menu also.
Yeah, we have great sandwiches.
Yeah.
Betsy, our sandwiches are really delicious. So you can order, a coffee and a sandwich, and it'll be waiting for you when you get there. I know you can do like a 6-pack of your choice, and we have growlers coming up for Father's Day, so you can fill them. I know she's got a couple other things in the works, but I encourage everyone to follow the Congregation Detroit on. Oh, I hear babies.
Yeah. See, that's another thing. You're working from home. And for those that aren't familiar, I have 1-year-old triplets, and they are awesome. And I mean, similarly, like it was frustrating. I kind of actually felt like I was quarantined already for the last year, having baby triplets. I wasn't really getting out a lot or doing much, and then just starting to maybe be able to do that when this hit. But really thinking more and more about, again, we're really privileged, right? I mean, like, this is absolutely a privilege to be able to be here, to be able to work from home, to spend more time with the children, right? I mean, like, this is such a formative time for them, and me and Richard are both working from home, so it's really special, I think. And not just trying to frame it that way versus like I'm stuck here with these kids.
It's okay to feel that way too sometimes. It's
Right.
okay.
Yeah. No, I know. But I mean, I really am I have thought about how lucky I am, just that they don't, that we were at the hospital this time in the last year, and NICU, like, I mean, oh my God, how difficult it must be, or for, older kids, and where they really kind of understand, but don't why can't we be going places or doing things? And you have a little, how's he dealing with it?
I mean, the struggle is real, I think, with, trying to run a business, and my husband also works a ton. We're trying to run 2 businesses, and a little 4-year-old who wants just to play constantly. That's all he knows, so go from. But again, I recognize how blessed we are. I recognize how fortunate we are. A lot of people don't even have this opportunity or can work from home. So yeah, it's it is what it is.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
trying my best.
yeah, and that's all we can, that's all we and anyone can do, right? Is
Yeah.
and then just keep having that time to reset if you do have that time. So I think that's amazing. Hopefully, we're doing the virtual tours, I'm excited for some ones coming up. We're doing Fridays at 2, the virtual tours, and it's a whole new thing, and we'll probably keep doing them after things go back to whatever normal might even look like. I don't know.
Speak of the devil.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, she hasn't texted back yet. I'll let you know. Coworkers, watch yourself.
But as we're with this last few minutes, are there any? I mean, you might have touched on this already, but any lessons learned from like that? And I know we have a pretty strong entrepreneurial ecosystem. Which were there organizations or things that you use in our ecosystem, or that you would recommend people use if they're wanting to start a business or grow their business or any of those things?
Yeah, a lot of stuff kind of came like there's so much help right now for startups. Use it. It's great. It's awesome. They were just kind of starting when
Yeah.
we were starting up. So we didn't have the startup access as much, but it's awesome. Like, there's just incredible programs. We were fortunate to also be a part of the 10KSB program. I found that to be really
10,000 small business.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
yeah, for those that are, which was a Goldman Sachs thing to reach out to help grow existing businesses. There was a lot, because like Kenny was saying, there was a lot for startups.
Yeah.
But what about for existing businesses? What kind of resources are there? And this was kind of meant to take the next level. Is that the idea?
Yes, and to really push you to think big. And I got a lot of value out of that. So if you are, kind of past the startup phase, I'd highly recommend applying for that. But the biggest thing to me, Jeanette, that has been so helpful is I love people. Like, I genuinely love people. I love meeting people, And I take every opportunity I possibly can to go grab a coffee with somebody because I feel like I can constantly learn something from somebody. And it can be totally industry agnostic, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what industry they're in. We're all humans. We're all making mistakes. We're all doing something that we can maybe help somebody else um, avoid in the future. And I value that, and I value that's part of it's selfish why I love getting together all the women entrepreneurs, but we are such an amazing group of women who I think it's important that we support each other. I think it's hard running a company, period. It's even harder if you're a woman. It's even harder if you're a woman and a minority. Like we can all help each other. Rising tide rises all boats. So, I guess my bit of wisdom is yes, check out and explore every program out there. Trust me, you are not smarter than, than what is offering. And don't be afraid to ask people to coffee.
Yeah.
Um,
And virtual coffee too. Like, I mean, that's kind of, I
totally,
mean,
totally.
that's
Yeah,
another
good
thing
point.
that I need to, like, I was really just starting to do that a little bit more again, get back out and then, but have a call, have a Zoom, have a drink, have a walk. I mean, now we can like get out and you can be distant and walk with people, have like kind of walking meetings. So that's really great advice.
There's a cabinet over
And then last thing is, so what's the call to action? You mentioned congregation, Facebook, all of that, obviously Rebel Nell. What else? How can people help you, help your organization, help on things that you care about?
Make your dollars count. Know where you're spending your money. If you're looking for gifts, maybe instead of going to Amazon, shop locally, whether it's with Rebel Nell or Congregation or any small business in Detroit. Just think of Detroit first. That's what I would recommend.
Awesome. And you can get everything at rebelnell.com. Also, people remind me that I should also tell people to go to City Institute, which is sharing lessons learned from Detroit, and Detroit Experience Factory. So obviously social media is a great way for us to, for you to follow us. Join us on a virtual tour. We'll sometimes talk about the amazing impact that Rebel Nell is having, because we always talk about, the Detroit, and that Detroit is big enough to matter in the world and small enough where you can matter in it. And Amy, you're such a great example of that, and your team, and every single woman working with you making amazing jewelry is part of what is going to make Detroit it does make Detroit a great city, and will make us improve and get better as we go forward as well.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Have a great week, and we'll just keep on keeping on and fighting the good fight and do more. I don't know how, but we'll just keep doing. We'll do more because we have to for our brothers and sisters, right? So
that's what we got to do.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.